It's Zero RB Friday here. I hope that wasn't an awkward start. And I have an exciting new tool that I've already got the sticker up for the screen on. So I'm going to show you guys here the best ball overlay tool we're going to play with today. Of course, it's a half-point PPR draft, $1.5 million in Best Ball Mania 5. And this was a snap fill, so I was not ready at all. I thought I would have a few minutes to set myself up, still start early, but not crazy early. Instead, we're starting very early, but my first draft using the best ball overlay tool shows you your week 15, 16, 17 matchups, along with point totals from DraftKings Sportsbook, which I thought was a really cool wrinkle that those guys built out over at bestballoverlay.com. You use the promo code SPLASH as well if you want to get $10 off your first month at Best Ball Overlay. But you're going to see it on the screen, so I'll just mention it right now. And I was setting it up, basically. It was like, I'm just too excited. I'm going to start the draft early. Didn't realize it would be this early, though. But it's Zero RB Friday nonetheless. We'll do our best we can to live up to that promise. And without Christian McCaffrey available to me, frankly, it gets a lot easier to do Zero RB Friday and commit to it. We got CeeDee Lamb at the 101 in this draft, Tyreek 102, McCaffrey 103. If I had to guess, as we've talked about a few times, people are desperate to get unique on things. People are really talking about uniqueness. I would say a little bit too much at this point of the draft season. You want to worry about that more when your teams are almost filled out in August. For right now, though, a lot of people definitely excited to be managing their exposures a little bit too heavily, get unique combos. And as a result, I think you'll see McCaffrey start coming 103 a little bit more. So people try to make up their CeeDee Lamb, their Tyreek Hill exposure, which I get. I like both guys, but I think you got to play it how you got to play it. Puka Nacua goes to the Marvin Harrison dream. Will not go on right now. Let's see. We got Marvin Harrison, Drake London. Obviously, I could take Harrison still, but not with Puka Nacua is what I was saying. God damn it. Same start that I am privy to, but I'm not going to change up the approach for now. I'm going to stick with most of the market data besides fading Garrett Wilson for me. Got Marvin Harrison Jr. one more time at pick 11. You can see here again, the new data, week 15 matchup versus New England, Carolina, and then Rams in week 17 for Arizona. And again, the point totals here as well is kind of nice to see. So here we go for that. All right. What do we get back? It's going to be Garrett Wilson, isn't it? This guy's going to give me Garrett Wilson. He's going to expect me to take him. And I don't want it. I don't want you, Garrett Wilson. I don't wish to have you. Okay, thank God. Save me from Garrett Wilson. I feel, and there's nothing to back this up for me, though I guess we can check something out to see if I'm right later in the video. I'm going to say Chris Olave is going to be the pick for me. I do have a lot of Harrison and Drake London, probably more than I should have when I am stuck perpetually in the 11-12 spots as I've been on stream. But we'll go Chris Olave paired with Marvin Harrison in this one. To start, it's Zero RB Friday. We're living up to the premise. Got some fun new tools to play with as well. It's always a good time. GM all. Finally, the Puka Marv combo. Dang, I thought it would happen. No, I'm not allowed to have it. Apparently, I'm legally barred from having Puka Nacua and Marvin Harrison. If there were a time for it to happen, this was probably it. But no. Like, we can check my combos later on. So here's the fun thing I think we're going to do. So best ball overlay again. I'm plugging them hard because it's, Pat from the Pound, his new thing. So use promo code SPLASH on there. Support them. I know how hard it is to get a business off the ground with what I've been dealing with probably. So try to show some extra love their way. But also, they have this cool tool where you have you can see your exposures combined, kind of similar to some Spike Week stuff, but they have some graphs things that are coming out soon, which I thought were really unique. And I think kind of show the love they put into that product. So I'll show you guys at the end of the video. We'll look at my exposures as we normally do on Fridays, but I'll show you through the prism of the best ball overlay exposure tool, which I thought was pretty cool. Frankly, would not be shocked, and this is not, accusing the Spike Week guys or anything. Frankly, wouldn't be shocked though if the Spike Week guys see some of the stuff, and go, we have to make a similar tool because I think honestly a few very innovative things at bestballoverlay.com that they're doing so far. So shout out to them. Best ball product made by best ball fans. Same thing for legendary upside stuff. To a lesser extent for brick stuff, but obviously he was on it early and has improved it based on feedback from people. These guys all put a lot of love into their products, but this is the one I'll be whoring for the rest of the summer. Got an 11-14 Puka Marvin the Hound Dog. Enjoy secondly, you cocks. You just rub it in my face. Oh, it's the best, is it? Oh, is it so wonderful to get your Puka Nacua and Marvin Harrison week 17 correlations? Are you guys all having a blast getting that? Tank Dell at 25. No, thank you. Again, we don't need to do combos this unique this early. Really strongly believe that. Unless heart rates is about to 150 max a tournament right now, I just personally wouldn't do it. That's it. Mr. Poopy Butthole giving me an offer, a serious man, a serious offer. I'll split all my Puka Harrison combo teams in exchange for splitting some of your teams. Ooh, new computer arrived today. Soon to be stream time. Mr. Poopy Butthole going to be VTubing as Mr. Poopy Butthole and I. I will be there for night one. You better come prepared, buddy, because it's hard to start streaming right away and doing a VTube. But I'm rooting for you. I am rooting for this piece of content to come into my life. Let's see. But yes, look. If anyone wants to stake me in BBM, if anyone wants to split equity at this point, it's all up for fair game. But especially the Puka thing. I'm really bummed about Puka Harrison. It's got to be good teams, though. Like, for me to equity swap, I trust you guys, but also I'm not blind swapping teams. I got to know. These are good teams. I got to know you didn't stick me with, like, Garrett Wilson as well. But actually, that'd be a really sick team if you got Puka, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Garrett Wilson. So never mind. But you know what I'm saying. You stick me with Aaron Rodgers stacks. No, thank you. Get out of town. Shout out our guy Tyler here. Tyler, one of the busier men in best ball. It's on Davis Maddox stream kicking our ass yesterday. Now I have to get my dick kicked in by Pete streams and Davis Maddox streams. It's a tough scene here on Splash Play. Thank God Friday we're all alone. Friday I can just wax poetic as long as I please while whoring bestballoverlay.com. We got Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave. This is not a great spot to keep going receiver, and yet we could persevere, and yet we could do it. Laporta, really not a discount at all. Derrick Henry would be the big faller here, but this is an avalanche room. I am going to go Pickens here. I don't often go Pickens, but I think we're building a unique team. Don't want to hedge too much in one draft. Again, I thought Pat Carade made a good point about it recently on one of his pieces of content talking about a lot of times when you start hedging a team, you then start hedging everything, and you're like, well, I don't take this guy. I don't take this guy. Here, I still take Harrison, still like Olave, but I do think Pickens is a guy that normally in the spot I wouldn't go out of my way to get, but I think we're getting avalanche. So that's basically it. We could survive an avalanche, and obviously it's 0 RB Friday, so we should be doing that anyway. But I do think in particular, it's a lot of receivers going so far. You can see a bunch of 0 RB starts. RB looking pretty thin. No elite tight ends. No QBs taken yet. We don't want to get caught in the avalanche here too bad. I hope this guy takes Laporta, because that's going to make it a tough decision for me if he leaves Laporta available. All right, no, he does soak up the Derrick Henry value for himself. Very reasonable move. Again, so this is by my ranks we're sorting by right now. ADP-wise, it's Sam Laporta would be the pick. Laporta at 38, it happens. Doesn't happen all the time. I do think a lot of these teams would have Harrison and McBride coming up. I'll go Laporta. I've only got 9% Laporta. Do want to have more? Again, you can see my exposures on the screen right now. And if you sign up for anything here, look, I'll show my exposures throughout the process, I guess. So the Friday review of my exposures probably won't be as thrilling as it has been in the past. But I will. You can see it now on the screen who I have as well. So you can see my stands for better or worse. But Laporta is the tight end that we take here. Elite tight end. Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, George Pickens. And hopefully McBride doesn't kick back all the way to 59, though I don't think that's going to happen. Hype Y'all sponsor combined two of the good guy grinders in the space. Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate it. Look, it really was one of those things where, honestly, if Pat had asked me to do something for Legendary Upside, I would have considered it. If Brick had wanted me to do it, I would have considered it. But Pat asked, and frankly, I do think Pat could probably use my support a little bit more than those guys can. So check it out. It's a cheap tool too. Like I think, the Sidekick for Legendary Upside, you're paying a lot for a product that is a premium product. This one, you're getting a premium product, that's not quite the same, but for a lot less cost. I think it's like $20 a month. You get $10 off your first month when you go over there. So check it out, bestballoverlay.com, and go support the Pound as well. Good guys. And Josh over there, who I had not met before, is a guy who built the product, and he really has been doing best ball product building and stuff for himself for a while. So one of those guys, I'm curious to see what they put out, because it is one of those products made by somebody who wants to make cool stuff. And, disrespect to anybody out there, even though these people might disrespect me, it's not just Excel spreadsheets, hacked to do certain things. Like they're trying to build actual products, which is much harder to do. Shout out the Pound indeed. Adam, of course, one of the mods over there, so it's quality. Last time I showed my exposures, got hit with a restraining order. It's okay. That's a good bit. I read that one without reading it in advance. Amari Cooper falls to 47 in this room, which a little bit of a dip for him. We've seen Amari Cooper go in the early 30s sometimes, which is probably not where you want him to go. Do you think he should be going closer to the late 40s if his holdout continues? Older guy holding out, just the faint risk that maybe his role gets diminished in his time away. I have to assume they'll figure something out. I think the local beat reporters have said the same thing. But it does seem for like Amari Cooper. Again, him, Tyreek, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase to the lessest extent because it's very possible he doesn't get his deal till next year. All guys to watch for holdouts coming up that could hold out, could drive their price tag down. And obviously Alvin Kamara on the RB side is one that we know started to hold out before training camp concluded or mini camp concluded. Overlay is legit. There we go. Check it out. So if you're already signed up, I hate you. Please only use my sign up because I got to show them. Now I have to show. I'm supporting Pats. I have to show actual signups. So please use promo code SPLASH at bestballoverlay.com. Spags, sorry to go off topic, but have you listened to the new Eminem album? Then I am a fan. Yes, I am a longitudinal fan. Have not enjoyed his most recent work sometimes. Some stuff I did, like Rap God was good. Did think that Toby was a really good song. Honestly, all the guys on that song really killed it. So I actually was staying in bed. I started all my content a little bit later. I just hung out in bed till 9 listening to the album. I liked it. I liked the concept of it. I didn't listen to it fully in sequence, kind of skipped around a little bit, but I knew that was going to fuck up the thing. I thought the last song, like as a parent, I get a little more emotional about the stuff these days. Definitely felt that way about the last song on the album. But I thought it was good. I thought it was an artistic thing. I still think he doesn't make bangers the same. Like it's like Collapse with Nate Dogg, one of the like Renegade. He doesn't make those anymore, which kind of hurts me. But still thought, some fun stuff in there. And Fuel, I get all the hype for Fuel. Very good song. And the other guy on it, whose name I forget, also really great job on that beat. All right, so we got 0031 here. AR is here, which is kind of fun. Ridley Mixon. Obviously, don't want to break the 0 RB run yet. I see a pathway for something interesting here if we take Calvin Ridley. So I'll do Calvin Ridley. I've got him ranked at 59. His ADP is 56.2, so technically a little bit of a discount. We can live with that. The bizarre feature was something. Now, he's definitely a guy that has memorable verses, even if the quality of his cadence and what he says is often gibberish. But honestly, I didn't know like all of these guys from D12 also died. Like I knew that I knew Kaniva died, but I didn't know the other one also died. I guess never put it together. And Eminem had a lot of sad stuff in his life. I actually thought about making the thumbnail for today's video like an Eminem style one, like I did for the Heart Part 6 one I did for Jaden Daniels. Thought about doing one for me today, but I was like, I don't know if the death of Chris Spags is gonna move the needle for people. We're on the clock here. Sorting by ADP, picks would be AR, Godwin. I think I have to change my screen size a little bit for this. I think I'm the one. Can't do it like that. All right. My rank wise, I'm gonna go Hopkins. I'm gonna get the Tennessee double here. On top, we'll have 5 receivers. So the team so far, Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, George Pickens, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins. So we have the Tennessee double, an elite tight end with Sam Laporta. We got Chris Olave, Pickens, Harrison, all guys I like. And we're still live for QB. Obviously, AR, look, I know people want to see me take AR every draft. I still love AR, to be clear. And I do want to get my exposure up for him. You might be able to see here on screen now. It's fucking a little bit. I have to change because my screen is zoomed in a little bit to try to make the presentation better. So I think I'm obstructing the view a little bit. So maybe if I drop off, hold on. Let's see if I can make the best ball overlay look a little better for me by cropping out the week 15 stuff. Let's see. I got to re-upload everything. Okay. Let's see if this works. All right, so there we go. It's a little bit cleaner. So you can see my AR exposure. I think the week 15 makes it a little bit tough to see on screen because my stuff, as I mentioned, zoomed in a little bit. But you can see I have 12% AR right now. I do want to be at 16%, at the very least for AR. His price tag, as you know, like it's just, I think Jaden Daniels is a very similar play and he goes 50 picks cheaper. So that's basically it for me in AR. But in this kind of build, you get the Tennessee double. You have some nice receivers to start with. I think that's a fun kind of build. Big believer in Tennessee's offense being improved. There we go. Yeah, best ball and call knows. The death of Hero RB. I've been doing a lot of Hero RB builds. I'm actually very curious to see some of my data on that because I think you can find that in the best ball overlay tool as well. But I've been building more heroes. I notice it when I'm labeling my teams. I'm like, oh, Bijan hero, Pacheco hero, James Cook hero. That said, I'm still loading up on receivers enough that I feel like I'm getting enough zero RB energy in my life, even though definitely not building pure zero RBs quite as much. Today, though, today we did it. 5 receivers in 6 rounds, 1 elite tight end, no RBs. So this is a true zero RB team, I believe. Eminem's the greatest rapper of all time, but man, he fell off. He did. It's hard to keep it up. I still think, if you were to put him against most people in a battle kind of situation, he'd do well for himself. And there's moments where the flow is still there. It's just, the punchlines get a little bit tedious. I think at this point, the Christopher Reeve thing is like a funny bit because like the guy's been, as he makes reference to in the album, is the guy's been dead for like 20 years or maybe 30. And he still keeps making Christopher Reeve references because Reeve rhymes well, or Reeves, I think is what he says, like rhymes well with a lot of different things. But, it's still nice to hear him doing stuff. And again, the Haley thing, for whatever, she's just like an aspiring influencer now who does like a podcast. That kind of loses the luster, but I'll always kind of go like, Eminem's daughter. Like Haley's song was a jam to me, even though musically, better raps he's done. You find that large player stands on different sites for no particular reason. 4% AR on Underdog, 20% AR on DK. It could be an ADP thing, could be where things align. Part of your job is to balance that out, frankly. Not saying that to castrate Dylan here, but that is the thing, is like being mindful of your biases, being aware of stuff that you're doing that you're not necessarily believing in is a big part of it. Obviously, some of these data tools, Spike Week stuff, the bestballoverlay.com stuff we're looking at now, those are things that will help you do that better. But it's your job. It's like, if you're playing poker and you can get, I guess that wouldn't be the good analogy. If you can only get full houses in poker, you're probably doing well. You do. But like point being, you could give yourself this chance to make sure you're getting the best hands you want to have in a draft. And I think that's an important part of the job. If you think AR is just a different play on the sites, then that's, I would question that. AR should be a better play on DraftKings than Underdog. So I guess you'd be right about that. How do you put the matchups next to each player team? I just talked about that, Adam, but go check out bestballoverlay.com. First day promoting it. Use the promo code SPLASH on there. Get $10 off for your first month. So that's the best deal they have right now. And I think it's normally $20 a month. So I believe you're basically getting your first month for $10. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's what they were telling me. So check it out. Promo code SPLASH at bestballoverlay.com. I believe you have to register your account first, so do that. Ramondre here. Ferguson, don't need a tight end. Obviously, this is the pocket going RB, so I think this works out pretty well. Ramondre hero? Yeah, Ramondre. I mean, I guess not really a hero, but Ramondre is the first one for us. Feels kind of hero-ish. We'll take Ramondre at pick 83, sure. Rank-wise, he would have been my top pick. Najee, I do have behind Ferguson in my ranks, but Ferguson is not an option for us right now. Mystic McGuinness here. Fun name. Feels like a movie character. The film based in Ireland. Mystic McGuinness. Is that? I don't do the Irish accent often, guys. My gosh, and Magora. I'm Mystic McGuinness. Could be worse. 0151. Sure, somebody could be offended out there. Jonathan Brooks. I think Zamir White could be fun for the New Orleans correlation. Give us a little bit of that bet. Jonathan Brooks. I like Brooks the most out of these guys, I think. Oh, you know what? We do have Pickens. Let's just go Najee. Let's go Najee. God, I have 8% Najee, 5% Jalen Warren. Maybe that should have been a tiebreaker for Warren. Not something to sweat, though, on draft number 67 for me. So we can see here, we got Ramondre, Najee Harris, Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, George Pickens, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, and Sam Laporta are our current bets that we have going. I'm not mad at the team. Do you think when you stay pot committed to zero RB, even if you do deviate for an elite tight end, it does feel pretty good? Guys, you're watching live. Excuse me. Oh, God. What a time. Boy, I shouldn't do this. Finish this vlog now. when you get phlegmy right before a plug, ask to subscribe and like. But that's how vulnerable I am on stream here. I'm willing to show you that, yes, I'm a human being that sometimes has fluids built up in my throat. So please hit the like button and subscribe. And of course, hit the comment button as well if you're watching after the fact. I appreciate all your support. All your engagements here go a long way. And of course, Underdog itself, if you're playing Underdog, use promo code SPLASH. Up to $250 in bonus cash, what you'll get on there. One of the best deals you will get for a deposit in all of best ball. So check it out at Underdog. And that's it. And then tomorrow, by the way, doubleheader on Drafters. So if you want to play with me on Drafters, full point PPR, 17 weeks, no pods, no playoff pods. It's a lot of fun differences there between Underdog and DraftKings. And last year, I finished 110 or top 110 with only 9 entries on Drafters. It's kind of thing you could do on DraftKings. The sharpening is just a little bit less draft. You go in with good structure, go with good stuff, and just knowing full point PPR, you'll do well in Drafters. So play on there. Use promo code SPLASH. Come draft with me tomorrow at 11 a.m. for a doubleheader on Drafters. Back to the best ball overlay plug. Plug. What a fun sequence for all the people tuning in. You get me flemming it up and then plugging like a whore. So welcome to the show, guys. Welcome to the show. When doing your ranks, do you start with ADP and adjust to get your targets, or do you have base ranks and adjust to ADP? No. So I do not consider it completely independent of ADP. I would think, especially because of the fact now, we have like about 100 members on the channel, some of which I'm sure how many of you guys are using my ranks, I don't actually know. But I don't want people to be untethered to ADP. Every week, I upload the Underdog ADPs and move my guys around them. So trying to adjust the markets as best I can. That said, I do think the point of having ADPs is that you have some differences in rankings. So as people here may know, I've had people on Marshawn Lloyd very high. I've had people on, what else? Bucky Irving, much higher than market. Jaden Daniels, I have higher than market. I do try to price things around. And also, guys, I go under market on that I know are fallers in drafts a lot because I just go, hey, you could normally get Joe Burrow. You get him in the late 90s. Don't take him at 85. So I'll bump him down closer to late 90s kind of thing. That's what I would think my value is of the ranks, but I know that there's, people want to do it differently. Obviously, ETRs being the goalpost, I think, for it. So I get that part. Shout out Billy. I know Billy's doing some content these days as well. Billy, great data guy, does some stuff with Spike Week. Check out his work. Supposed to phlegm up after sucking off the sponsors. That's true. That's true. They want the old Hawk Tua. They want me to go whoop. They want me to spit on that thing. Jaden is here taunting me like the tasty little treat that he is. He's just waving it right in front of my face, daring me to take him down. But it doesn't make the most sense for this build. Tony Pollard, unfortunately, does. A little bit of an ADP drop for him. Still making it up at RB. We're going to go with him here. We'll see what Mystic McGinnis, what the old Lucky Charms spokesman, Mystic McGinnis, gives us at the 12 hole. Right to jail for that Hawk Tua. Look, I haven't spat on that thing enough. I apologize if you guys don't want it. You don't want me to grab the mic with one hand and spat on that thing? I see. So there's some fun stuff we can do here. Oh, man, just stop. Why must they taunt me? Why must they do this? I do think the most fun move right here would be to also take Tyjae Spears and to do them being the Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert bet, where you have this bet on Tennessee. Obviously, can't get sniped on Will Levis. That would be a good one. Jaden here, of course, hard to pass up. But I'm low on Spears, and I don't really want to be. So we're going to go Tyjae here. Interesting exposure pocket for me as well here. Javonte Williams, I've got a 2%. You can see the big Dak Jaden discrepancy for me, 39% Jaden, 5% Dak. I don't want to be that low on Dak, but I'm not getting enough seeding lambs. That's part of why. But really here, this range for me comes down to a lot of Brian Robinson and not a lot of Javonte. Of course, I am an Audric Estime believer, so that's going to be, and I've been since day one. All you late coming Audric Estime fans, I don't want to hear from you. Let's give this team a read. 0451, we've got Ramondre, Najee Harris, Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears, Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, George Pickens, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, and Sam Laporta. So a Tennessee super stack, I guess you could say, for sure. Do you think we're all in this together, guys. Me having two guys up top here that we know can be strong on their own, it gives me a little more flexibility to take Pollard and Spears together. The discount on Pollard as well, I think makes that more appealing. So we're getting unique. Jaden Daniels in 115. Steal for that guy. Steal of all steals. have an uncomfortable amount of Estime. I hope you do. And Estime is taking the job. I mean, that's my hope. I don't know he's going to take the job fully from day one, but him carving out a share for himself has always been my bet. I think he's an 8 to 10 touch back to start based on his talent level and what he brings to the table. And then the reports that he could take over some pass game downs because he's a good blocker, big bodied dude, and frankly, a better catcher, better receiver than people realize. Much better as a runner, to be clear. Like, he reminded me of like the most juiced having Leonard Fournette when I graded him out in January. That said, he can catch some passes too. I think he's perfectly viable there. So he's got outs to be a 15 touch back, and he's one of the few guys in round 18. People want to, steam to take Tyrone Tracy, and Esteme's looking them in the face, and like there's enough signal there to buy in. But that said, I have walked my Estime exposure down a little bit. That said, if he's coming up, maybe I'll get back on the train. If you can find someone else in round 18 who gets you 10 touches, you take it 10 out of 10 times. Yeah, I think that's fair. Not a lot of them, for sure. He's got the shot. Tracy's got a shot. I think Eric Gray has more of a shot than people want to realize. He was very good in college in a way that people I don't think grasp. At multiple stops, playing in the SEC and at OU. He was good at both of them analytically. So I think he's got a faint chance. Tank Bigsby still has that chance. People don't want to hear that, but I would say more like 5 to 8 touches, but can be around 10. There's not a lot of them, though. Not a lot of them. The risk reward for Estime is an easy smash. I hope so. I certainly hope so. I would like to see that ADP come up. The guys whose ADPs I'd like to see rise a lot to give me a feeling of more super teams would be him, would be Marshawn Lloyd, would be Bucky Irving. If those guys come up enough, and especially if a Lloyd seems like he has a shot to come up to like at least Trey Benson range, that alone would really give me some nice depth on my portfolios. Jared Goff goes to a guy hopefully with a Monra. All right, he's got a Monra. No shame there. He's got Jaden and Goff. Two different QBs for sure. Jaden scooped as a pure value with no correlation. But if I were him, I would hope he gets John Dotson back at 139. All right. Picks coming up here. Again, you can see the week 16, week 17 matchups. You can also see my exposures for these guys. Pretty big lean here at RB, which is not surprising to anyone who watches streams, I'm sure. What we do with this pick, there's flexibility to be had. Marshawn, I think, really does drive this team home pretty well. Purdy, no correlation. Tua, no correlation. I think we can be done at RB potentially with Marshawn as this pick. Might still go to 6, but I'm not off the Marshawn train. Give me him in the 130s. I'm going to take him. And then we got one more pick here. Freiermuth does make sense. Kendre also would make sense. Chandler would make some sense. Actually, yeah. No, Kendre would make sense. Receiver, though. I think you guys will want me to go with Freiermuth. I'll go that way. Don't know that we needed him right now, but really the RB spot, I think we've done enough at RB for right now. QB, not going to go up and get anybody. We have enough late options there. That should be pretty obvious. So that's my logic there. Let's give the team a read. 0552. We've got Ramondre, Najee Harris, Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears, Marshawn Lloyd. So I guess the case for adding one more RB would be that Pollard and Spears, they're not going to be zeros, but there is a chance that one takes enough away in a given week that the other one comes down and maybe doesn't give you a lot of points. But I think there's a shot that both guys could get there with like 10 to 15 point-ish workloads. So I'm okay with them together. And then Marshawn Lloyd, again, rounds out that room. And we got Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, George Pickens, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Sam Laporta, Pat Freiermuth. Jacksonville bring back would be nice. We could get one of those late, I suppose. Pittsburgh, KC. I think the game stacking is lacking a little bit. The Tennessee bet's pretty obvious, but the bring back part of that for week 17 with Jacksonville is not quite there yet for me. If it will ever be there, it probably won't be very much. You did hear Najee. Najee is my RB2. Kind of wild you can get Lamar in the round 5 these days. Yeah, it's also wild that people still take him in the 3rd round. His price is really weird. I think people who take Andrews and try to push him, that's the logical thing to do. That said, it happens so frequently that it's now not a special thing to do. And if anything, I think going to be duped a lot more than people realize. So that's the downside of the Andrews Lamar thing, but hard to argue getting an elite tight end correlated with the QB. God forbid Andrews gets hurt. God forbid Lamar gets hurt. That's going to be one that I think takes down, I don't know, fucking 15% of the pool, 20% of the BBM pool right now. It's got to happen 1 in every 5 drafts. All right, Scott loves this build. Glad to hear that. Appreciate seeing Scott live here as well. Gives me some comments sometimes, and I do appreciate your support. Najee. Yeah, Beetlejuice. There's a new Beetlejuice sequel coming out. Very similar. You say Najee 3 times, Felix emerges. Sometimes aroused. I feel like Felix's exposure for Najee has to be coming down a little bit, right? I guess it's easier to get him would be the one side of that. Yeah, the flip side would be you got Jalen Warren right there. Like you could diversify pretty naturally for yourself if you wanted. All right, Tua goes at 143, this guy. So again, Tyreek drafter who did not have Waddle. Where's the Waddle drafter? Waddle goes here. So this guy saw that the Waddle drafter had 2 QBs right here, had Burrow, Caleb. He then pushed Tua all the way around. That's why, guys, we did it on stream the other day, got Tua at pick 147. That's when you push Tua. When the Waddle drafter, if you're the Waddle drafter, or if the Waddle drafter does already have QBs, you know you could safely push Tua around because nobody's taking an unstacked Tua. Even in these July and August rooms, nobody wants unstacked Tua really. Which is funny because like of all the dumb shit that people, take away, learn from the last year's BBM winner Fareed Shaheed, the one thing that they're not taking away is like relatively unstacked Tua was a pretty big part of what got him there. Oh, well. Mahomes, Jackson, or Anthony Richardson. It should be Jackson. I think AR should be closer. In my first rankings, I had Lamar, AR, and Stroud next to each other, and then Mahomes behind. I'm not the biggest believer in Mahomes having this, outlier passing year. I just don't think that's what he's trying to do with himself at this point. Like that's, to me, with what we saw last year where he barely had 20-point games. I think he had maybe 1 in the back half of the season. Like that's a guy that I think adjusted his game to reflect that, hey, we're going to take a few deep shots, but a lot of checkdowns, a lot of underneath stuff, a lot of keeping him clean is the goal. Like their goal for the season to get into the playoffs with Mahomes not being hurt. And I think you don't really, when you're at that point of the career, coming off another Super Bowl win, you're at this point, you're not trying to set, I think historical records on offense. I think you're just trying to keep yourself clean because you learned that you can do that and have tremendous success like you did last year. But we'll see. We'll see. I think Stroud is the kind of guy, like there's a lot to prove there because he hasn't won a title, hasn't done it. Mahomes has now won multiples and won last year in the close to the best possible way until he got to the playoffs and he slung it. But that's when games are do or die, not when they are games in September and October. So point being, I'd have Mahomes behind all 3 of those guys, but the markets disagree. 0552, we have to get QBs coming up. All right, on the clock here. No pick that really needs it. Boy, fucking wide receiver got just annihilated, huh? I think at this point, knowing how important he is to the team, I'm just going to get Will Levis out of the way. Adding another RB here. I have to reach for wide receiver anyway. Will Levis ahead of ADP. People who want to see me close stacks, congratulations. We've done it today. And then not going to get Derek Carr yet, if that's one of the plays that we decide to do. This pocket is very unappealing. Do I make the Roman Wilson bet now that I'm so deep in on Pittsburgh bullshit? I think DeMarcus Robinson gives us an Arizona bring back. See what the room kicks around here. So 6th receiver DeMarcus Robinson feels pretty solid to me. Guy who's got a role as a wide receiver 3 for the Rams. Showed some spike week upside last year. I think a little bit of a floor, a little bit of a ceiling there. We've got a 1.562. Will Levis taking him early, but there's just nothing at RB that I cared about. He makes the most sense for me. Ramondre Stevenson, Najee Harris, Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears, Marshawn Lloyd. Wide receiver, we've got Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, George Pickens, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, and DeMarcus Robinson for a little bit of an Arizona bring back. And Sam Laporta and Pat Freiermuth. Happy with the team so far. Think we could take a Russ if we want late. Certainly don't have to. And locking up Levis is QB1. You got to do it. That's what we always say here. Make a good case for Pacheco. I mean, that's the case for Pacheco. I think I've made the case for them before, but yeah, Pacheco consolidating McKinnon's role, being a trusted back, being a bell cow back when games mattered the most last year. Even when Mahomes started to drop back more in the playoffs, it was still a lot of workload for Pacheco. So he's one of few guys. I'm not sure my Pacheco exposure. I guess we'll see at the end of the video here. But to me, Pacheco is a player that I think is really locked into a nice situation. But, you know, we shall see. They could sign somebody, I suppose, and upset that equation a little bit. Great team so far. Thank you. I mean, Felix, of course, biased, seeing my Najee Harris, but I understand. DraftKings is insane for QB sniping all the way before ADP. That's true. I didn't trust that Levis would safely come back to me at 179, so that was basically it. This room, I think, hasn't shown me that they're going crazy with unstacked players like we've been in a lot of rooms lately. What's definitely been the case. But better safe than sorry, frankly, when you don't have a QB at all at this point. I've got such a big bet on Tennessee as well. Like, that's what I was talking about the other day where, look, if I don't have this big of a bet on Tennessee, if I've got multiple QB outs, then yeah, maybe you push like a QB like Will Levis especially around. But if you need that bet, and if your bet is so concentrated, as it is here for me with both Tennessee RBs, both top Tennessee receivers, Will Levis needs to hit for the seam for the most part, for the binary outcome of them hitting. So suppose they could hit with Malik Willis or Mason Rudolph. I mean, Mason Rudolph fed George Pickens well, if nothing else. Khalif Raymond for a late stack option? Maybe. Probably not the way I would go. GM for our guy Matthew, hit the like button. Please do. Please. I appreciate your support here, guys. Getting a lot of streams out there these days as the summer heats up. Your support goes a long way. So please subscribe down below. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. If you're on Twitter watching it, hit the follow button. Hit that star, that little heart, whatever. Yeah, heart, right? It's now a heart. Hit the heart button. Hit something, please. And of course, if you're playing on Underdog, use promo code SPLASH on there. $250 in bonus cash right now. So check it out. If you enjoy the little bells and whistles on the screen, best ball overlay, you use promo code SPLASH on there. You get $10 off your first month. So I believe that would make your first month $10 flat. So check that out. All right, 1562 here. Interesting things developing, perhaps. Luke McCaffrey, one of my highest exposed players right now, goes to 176. Very cozy taking Luke McCaffrey right now that is at that ADP, especially when I have Jaden Daniels, which is often, as you guys know. All right. Bateman goes. So we got Stafford all the way back, and I think that's a decent move to shore us up a QB. So kind of evens out taking Levis where we did, then taking Stafford. I guess the Cup and Puka drafters don't want to do it, so we'll do it here at pick 179. I feel pretty good about that. Tyler, this guy's got a 2292. His RBs are Henry and Swift. This is not a well-built team. I didn't realize it was going that that out of control for that guy. Don't build a 2392 team, guys. It's not usually going to pay off. Derek Carr is here and does correlate for us. Michael Wilson would increase our Arizona bet. I've got 8% Michael Wilson, 11% Derek Carr. We'll go Derek Carr here. Got the bet on Olave. A bet on Olave is inherently a bet on Derek Carr. So we'll go with that. Technically have a bring back for that as well. No, we don't have a bring back, unfortunately. Took Najee over Zamir White. Forgot about that. Let's give this team a read. So it's a 3-5-6-2. Will Levis, Matthew Stafford, Derek Carr are the QBs right now. At RB, we've got Ramondre, Najee Harris, both Tennessee RBs, Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears, and Marshawn Lloyd. Wide receiver, we've got Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, George Pickens, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, the Tennessee duo, and Demarcus Robinson, currently our wide receiver 6. Sam Laporta, Pat Freiermuth are the tight ends right now. Happy with the team. Have a Pittsburgh stack without the QB. Not the biggest Pittsburgh guy in the world, but to me, doing it without the QB feels perfectly fine. I've got 3 QBs who are not great, but collectively can get me 18 to 20 points, I think, in a given week. Happy with the build. Thoughts on Jonathan Brooks? Am I the only one who feels the hype / expectation? Our pipe dreams. No, he was really good. He was the best RB coming out in this class. He's got to get better. I think the issue really is that his ADP came up. People assuming he'd be ready to go from the start of training camp. Him not being ready for the start of training camp does mean he's kind of clawing uphill to get a job, get his health where it needs to be to start the year. That said, how soon he gets back in there was going to be a big determining factor for where his ADP goes. But talent-wise, to me, he's, in terms of his size as well, like he was the best, most well-rounded back in that class. Good pass catcher, good rusher. Just the ACL thing is why I didn't draft him a lot. So if the ACL is good to go, then he's good to go. Let's see. You should be able to squirt 40 likes. Yes, please squirt those 40 likes, guys. Squirt them out for me. Your support goes a long way here. It's a one-man shop showing my whole process now, showing literally my exposures on stream here, talking it through every day. So please, your support goes a long way here. If you hit that like button, no matter what platform you're on, especially on YouTube. Twitter too, though. Appreciate your Twitter likes. All right. So I would think we want at least one more receiver. We had 5 in our top 70. So obviously that's sort of the main thing there to know that we have a good baseline. But adding one more receiver to round us out would be nice. Could add one more RB. Not a must. But can be fine. 200K to first place puppy has arrived. There we go. Shout out to all the puppy fans out there. Go get your cheaper tournaments in. We got 2 more picks coming up here. Will they make the draft? Who knows? Come on. All right, on the clock here. Tank is RB6. Makes sense for this build. And that's actually what I'm going to do with this pick. Got 11% Tank Bigsby, 3% Roshan. Should even that out at some point, but I don't think this draft is the one to do it. So got our RB6 before our wide receiver 7, which you could question for sure, though I'm okay with it. I do have a last receiver in mind. One that I think is a lot of people's favorite last receivers. What do we got here? Dameon Pierce. Still think Dameon Pierce, probably not a guy you want to draft too often. Jawar Jordan, I think, is the real backup there for Joe Mixon, though we'll certainly see. Tyler Boyd, huh? Tyler Boyd makes sense. Definitely a little stacky for Tennessee to add on Tyler Boyd. I was actually thinking, I was thinking Greg Dortch would be the pick here. So another bring back for Arizona. I think that Boyd is perfectly... No, Boyd got drafted. Okay, so yeah, Boyd's not an option at all. Could do an additional like Jacksonville bet with Parker Washington or somebody. Could take Estime one more time before he comes up. No, Greg Dortch is the one I had in mind. Greg Dortch is the pick here. So final team here. Let's give it a read. It's a 3-6-7-2. We got Will Levis, Matthew Stafford, Derek Carr, Ramondre Stevenson, Najee Harris, Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears, Marshawn Lloyd, Tank Bigsby. I think could make the case to be done after Marshawn Lloyd, but to me, having the 2 Tennessee RBs kind of makes that like 1 RB play really when you combine them together. And I hope they both hit, but who knows? We got Marvin Harrison, Chris Olave, George Pickens, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Demarcus Robinson, and Greg Dortch, fan favorite at wide receiver. At tight end, we have Sam Laporta and Pat Freiermuth. So happy with these teams. I think these all came together pretty well. No screaming discounts or anything, but a nicely correlated team. No issue there. Guys, that was a 40-minute draft. I'm going to give it away, I guess, this one time here. 5 spots left in a draft. I guess you can't see how many spots there are, but there's 5 spots left in a Best Ball Mania 5 draft. The puppy is attracting people enough here that I couldn't sneak in. So if you want to get in, I'll give you open season to come into Best Ball Mania 5 draft, but only if you go to bestballoverlay.com and use promo code SPLASH on there to get $10 off your first month. So room 1 spot left. We are filled. So people figured it out fast. We'll see who figured it out the fastest here. The biggest loser in the 11 hole is still watching every stream, I guess. Unbelievable. As I probably happen to do team betting, we'll have player props during NFL season. It does have player props. That's in fact a big part of the product. So check it out for our guy here. Is that cheesesteak season? Sorry, it's quickly chicken cheesesteak lover. Oh, no beef? All right. Well, you go check out Probably. Anyway, probably.com, PROBLY.com. Get in there now if you want to learn how to use it. You just learn about the product. But yes, for NFL season, we will have props along with all the derivatives, regular markets as well. And frankly, the betting product for MLB has been doing really well this year. Awful day yesterday, which unfortunately does happen. But market data, though, really the biggest thing you can learn about betting for people out there. When you try to out-research markets, you are going to lose more often than not. Using market data, though, and if you even want to combine that with some of your research, you can. But using market data is the most important part, just knowing how bets are priced, knowing where the best bets are, in particular. For right now, DraftKings minus 115 on every 50-50 bet. Sometimes you go to Caesars and get those same bets for plus 115. That means 30% of your money goes away. Probably helps you solve that a little bit more. So check it out, PROBLY.com, and use promo code SPLASH on there too if you want to get half off. All right. Join the draft if you're a masochist. Yeah. Look, I gave away my EV here. It honestly is like very sad that this guy still watches every stream when I've been as outwardly mean as possible to not make him do it. But here we are. Bijan at number 3. People are doing that. Tyreek at 2. This guy gets CeeDee Lamb at number 4. It's pretty unique. Not sure how we can get much better for him, though. Like, you take CeeDee Lamb at 4. If you take Devontae Smith, you're getting the same combo people get. You would need to get a nice follower at 21 that's not correlated to Philadelphia, Dallas on week 17, if I had to guess. But still hard to argue getting CD at 4 if you can get him. Yeah, Michael Thomas has learned his lesson. All right. Got A.J. Brown here. I guess the slightest of discounts for him, but not really. I don't think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is coming back to me. I'll get a share of A.J. Brown. Only 8% of him. Got 9% Puka, as you can see with the best ball overlay tool. You can see I still do have 5% Garrett Wilson and should be over the 6% with Chris Olave now that I've done another draft where I drafted him. But A.J. Brown starts us off here, and we'll see what happens from this point forward. This person keeps intentionally joining your drafts at a normally high rate and is affecting the quality of your streams. Can Underdog do anything? I wouldn't ask him to. I think, honestly, I think appealing to him as a human being, as I tried to do in the beginning, should have been enough. But he's legit, obsessed, and I think has an addictive thing. Whether that's a thing Underdog should be worried about, But no, I don't think they would do anything. And again, I don't want to. He should be able to play on the site. He just should have some discipline and not be obsessed to this level. It's really uncomfortable for me, to be honest. But that's why I'm trying not to talk about it as much. Because we had the climax. We did we did this before. We're not going to do it again. Just unfortunate, but hey, we move on. We build sick teams. That's all I can do here on Splash Play. Build them for the haters. Build them for the weirdos who are obsessed. All I can do. I'm a polarizing personality, I guess. Nico Collins goes early here. A.J. Brown and Nico, definitely a start that I would have been gravitating towards. I can increase my Olave exposure, which I'm happy to do. I'm low on him. I'm low on Ayuk as well, as you can see here. With the field on Devontae, a little bit above it. But I'll get another share of Olave. Should put us safely, I think, over 10% with that last draft. So an A.J. Brown, Chris Olave start. Not the most unique for sure, but I'm happy to have it. I try to talk about it at length, is what I'm saying, Adam. I could do a lot more to continue, to go at him, but I just don't want to anymore, is what I'm saying. Trying to be classy about it while still pointing out that it's very uncomfortable. It's honestly, and again, I'm not going to compare things, but it's like a personal invasion of space in a way that's really not cool to me, but people think I'm just being a bitch about it. Pretty sure that dude wants to wear your skin. There you go. Maybe another way to look at it. Yeah, I agree. Prefer not to draft with would be nice. But then people would do that for just the best drafters, and then it would make it a thing that, people would abuse that, unfortunately, too. So I get it on both sides. But, it is what it is. All I can do is build great A.J. Brown, Chris Olave teams. That's the part that I can control here. Excited to get some training camp news in, though. I feel like this time period, I've mentioned a few times on stream, you could feel the beat reporters struggling to make content where it's I got to come up with something, baby. Tyrone Tracy, the new Barry Sanders. Let's get it out there. That's what's going to get some clicks. And it's Jesus Christ, there's nothing that says that with how he played. Nothing that says that with how he was used. These are the things that come up this time of year that make people overreact a little bit. Even the estimate stuff, like the same estimate blurbs have been out there since like May. And now all of a sudden, because the beat reporter mentions it again in a new article, because he's just trying to fill the time between now and July, people pick up on it this time. And it's like, even that, I don't want to get too excited for it again. So I kind of like quietly, strongly dislike this period of draft season because it ends up being a lot of people's trying to fill time and like hot taking stuff. And in reality, we need the news dumps to start hitting in training camp. Best cheesesteak in Philly. I'm not a Philly local like that. Delco Steaks near us is pretty okay. The wife likes Jim's the most, I believe. But those would be the two that I guess I would say that are on different things. Delco is, I think, a chain. The Jim's one is supposed to be really good. I haven't gone with her yet to it, though. I don't really care that much about like, like Philly shit. I'm not from here. Doesn't mean anything to me. You want to ask me the best bagel in New York? I'll tell you, have you heard of this place, Dunkin' Donuts? They do some great bagels. Have you heard of the pizza from Sbarro's, to quote an old Michael Scott bit? Even in New York, like, you like shit, but it's like, I wouldn't say the best pizza is like this classic New York slice. Like, I love the one I grew up with in the South Bronx, which I'm sure is not a top option at this point. But then the best pizza I had was probably Paulie G's in Greenpoint in Brooklyn there, where it's like wood-fired, it's like personal pizza kind of size things with Mike's Hot Honey on top before Mike's Hot Honey was everywhere. So I think those little things too, like there's a lot of nuance to it. Cheesesteaks, I don't really care. I've never tasted one. We had a really good one actually at a Barclay Prime, which is like a fancy steak place here. But that's like fucking $100, and it was us being stupid after back in the days when I had money. 0020, AJ Brown, Chris Olave start. Diggs right here, look at me in the face. He's the best ADP pick as well. At a certain point, I need to take more Michael Pittman. He's clearly my blind spot here with Diggs 15, Zay 15, Pittman 3. But that day's not today. I just prefer Diggs to Pittman by multitudes. Honestly, hate to say it. I was the biggest Pittman guy last year. Just don't think this price tag is right for Pittman this year. So Stephon Diggs is my wide receiver 3. So AJ Brown, Chris Olave, Stephon Diggs is a start. Every time I can get Houston, I'm happy to do it. Oh, there's a Paulie G's in Columbus. I didn't know that. I didn't know they expanded that far. But I think the Brooklyn one was the first location, and definitely an innovator. Similar to Roberta's, I think, with some of the stuff. But I think Roberta stole their stuff from Paulie G's. Yeah, it's really ridiculous. It's a cheesesteak where they also give you Dom Perignon with it. We had it again when we were like, when I was a little more cash rich. Things were still going well at Football Outsiders. But yeah, basically it was really sick. And we got like Wagyu. Definitely that's the kind of things that I like spending my money on. Like one of our guys had asked me a couple of weeks ago, I think it was Thomas, in the comments, like, what would I do with BBM if I won? Like the first thing I would do is just get like the best Wagyu I could find. Like Wagyu, that kind of stuff. Those are things I used to treat myself more than like stuff. I really don't give a shit about stuff at this point. I got stuff. I got an Xbox. I got weed. I got stuff. What else? What else do I need besides Wagyu? In my area, Spags, my favorite cheesesteak was from my hometown in Central PA, better quality meat. And you also just have the, your brain and how it works, nostalgia, a big part of things. As Inside Out 2 taught us, if you guys watched that. Great movie, by the way. If you do get a chance to watch it. We didn't take Luca. Went by ourselves the other day. But it was a great time. Luca can't see a movie. He can't handle a movie theater yet at his age. Inside Out 2, though, great movie. But nostalgia, definitely a big part of your food choices, I think. And a lot of people's too. Like I've gone to places that Alex loved. She was like, "Oh, I went here when I was a kid." And it's like, yeah, this is a place. This food exists. I can agree with that. Thank you, Meatwad. I got an Xbox. I got weed. I got stuff. Beautiful quote. I'm a simple man. A simple man. All right, we're on the clock here. Sam Laporta comes back, which is kind of fun. Jalen Hurts being here, though, it is hard to look the Jalen Hurts gift horse in the mouth. Is this team going to get more unique taking Laporta? The Devontae Smith draft on the other side absolutely will take Hurts. Hurts makes this team pop, I think. I hate giving Laporta back around, but we'll go Hurts. Don't think we want this to be a Stroud team because we don't have Tank. We don't have Nico Collins. I really want to have 2 of the Houston receivers. I'm going to go the Stroud way. So we'll take Jalen Hurts basically right at ADP. AJ Brown, Chris Olave, Stephon Diggs. Those are the teams so far. How old is Luca? Luca is 2 years and going to be 6 months soon. So, or I guess no, 5 months soon. So yeah, old enough. He's throwing a football really well, which his teachers keep telling us about, like as if I don't fucking know. I even caught actually for the first time. We play catch the tennis ball in the house because like fucking so hot outside lately. Trying not to kill myself and him out there. But we're throwing the tennis ball around. You can catch a tennis ball now with not the best hit rate. We're talking maybe a 30% hit rate. Catchable ball rate of DJ Chark. For DJ Chark. I don't know. That was the first name that came to mind. But not a ready downfield target yet, but he's getting there. So it's cool to see the the evolution and all that. There's a lot of cute little things. Code Splash was invalid. Just tried it. Oh no. I don't know. Let me check in with Pat because they said it was good to go yesterday. Hold on. Hold on it though. Don't use another promo code, please, because we're promoting today. All right. I'll send a DM to the pound guy right now. Promoting it on stream right now, and someone said it didn't work. But I appreciate you trying to bring this to my attention. You try all caps. Oh, all caps? Okay, yeah, use all caps. There you go. All right, shout out you guys here. There I go. Maybe that it's just all caps. Okay. There we go. poor Pat, I think, has a day job. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm fucking on stream. I'm trying to sell your shit, bro. I'm like one of the kids on the wire on the corner. Like, I need you to address it. Please. My son catches like MVS, but could be the ninja in the gaming space. Hey, Luca is not allowed to do anything gaming related yet. We're trying our best to keep him from being a little iPad kid because it's so hard not to. He'll get Bluey. He'll get to watch Bluey. It's fucking Mickey Mouse's Clubhouse, which is dog shit. Was it? He said Mickey Mouse and Mickey Mouse's Clubhouse is a Disney Plus show. Has to do this chant to like make his house appear. Fucking worst. It's like sounds like some fucking backwards like brainwashing record thing like he used to do in the 60s. Like Mixa Muxa Mickey Mouse, I think is what you have to fucking say. Awful. Bluey kicks ass though. Bluey's our king. Bandit's our king. That's why I have an Eric Lindquist puppet behind me, and I have Bandit. My two heroes, Eric Lindquist and Bandit. I'm thinking about bringing some guests on the Splash Play again, guys, too, just to shake things up a little bit in August. So I might ask Eric to do the stream at some point. I've already put one DM out to somebody who was on vacation, and I was like, oh, fuck it. I'll table it for now. But I think we might be reopening the guest booking shores now that we actually get enough views to make it worth people's time. We'll see. Paul Skeens gets a start for the NL All-Star game. What a stud. Finally, MLB doing something to actually highlight their young stars. What a move. Pick 57 coming up here. We'll see what we're going to get. I'll show you guys the board here. You can see my exposures in this range as well, if I sort by ADP in particular. For some reason, AR, it just hides my AR exposure. There you go. All tools you can get with bestballoverlay.com right now. Promo code SPLASH, all caps. That's what we got on there. Check it out. And we will look at my exposures at the end too. So, and I'll show you guys the best ball overlay tools that they have so far. Their graphs tool, though, they showed me yesterday on the call we did, or 2 days ago on the call we did. Seemed very cool. So I'm excited to play with that one on stream. Actually, might make my exposure videos members only streams because I don't do any members only content. So stay tuned for that. I got to figure it out in the coming weeks. All right. So my rank wise pick would be Dalton Kincaid. ADP wise, we're looking at Hollywood Brown. Neither really sets my loins on fire. But elite tight end's pretty good because I think there's going to be a lot of Jalen Hurts teams with Dallas Goedert as probably tight end one. So we'll go Dalton Kincaid here. 5-pick discount for Dalton Kincaid. 7-pick discount according to my ranks. Team so far, A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, Stephon Diggs, along with Jalen Hurts and Dalton Kincaid. Interesting start. I think we need to hit receiver next 2 rounds at least to make sure. Chris Sale got snubbed. No, you got to go Paul Skeens. Chris Sale does nothing for that. Though, good for him. Honestly, inspirational story coming back from how hurt he's been and how much the Red Sox held him out over and over again. Would have been tempting if Joe Mixon had come back to me, but thankfully we'll be saved from that so we could stick with the wide receiver plan. Yeah, Skeens is nuts. I haven't pulled in my old MLB data sheet that I used for Stochastic, where I would take stuff from Fangraphs and have like all this data. But like he's got swinging strike rates and stuff. Like he's a guy that, from what I know, compared to like vintage Jacob deGrom stuff, which is one of the guys that I hold in esteem. Garrett Cole before the Gorilla Glue got banned. All those guys. All right, so 1031 here. Picking my ranks would be Addison. Picking ADP would be Rashad White. Rashee Rice not too far behind. I like Addison. I don't know. I like Addison more. It's like hard to quantify. Obviously, he's my top ranked receiver right now. I like Addison more as a wide receiver 5. Like, I don't know why he just feels to me more like if I get anything from Addison, it's good. But in reality, not having Hawkinson out there, having KJ Osborne gone as well, it's going to be Brandon Powell likely, or him and Jalen Naylor playing that wide receiver 3 spot. Those aren't big target earners. So, like, Addison is, I think, a guy who on DraftKings is wildly underpriced. He's priced in the 80s there, knowing his shot to have 100-yard days, and also, PPR. He's not a huge PPR guy. He's still going to get you 5 to 6 catches in a game. So I think Addison, to me, would, again, like him more as wide receiver 5, but as wide receiver 4, we can live with it. I don't get this. Never Addison. Addison was good last year, and especially he got a lot of targets. We did see that Jefferson got hurt. Let me look at Addison's numbers so we can talk about it intelligently here. Addison last year should be a higher EPA receiver given how many downfield targets he gets. Only a 0.13 EPA per target. Still positive, but could be better. Target per out run, 19%. Again, could be higher. Deep targets, got 1.2 deep targets a game, so that's good. But only a 0.08 EPA on those targets. So you're right to say he should be more efficient. 30% catch rate is what he had in those deep throws as well. Throws to 20-plus air yards. It's still year 1 to year 2 jump. No Hawkinson for most of the year. I'm not one of those people that thinks Robert Tonyan is going to get a Hawkinson level target share, which is not it. So to me, Addison, I'm happy to get him. You can get a wide receiver 2 after round 10. You could also get wide receiver 3s from certain teams earlier. You don't need only wide receiver 1s. It doesn't matter that much. On games where teams sell out to stop Justin Jefferson, who else catches the ball? It's Jordan Addison. If you're bracket coveraging Justin Jefferson, like, think about the football part of it. You're setting 2 guys to stop Jefferson. Things open up more for Powell, but they're going to open up more for guys like Addison, especially downfield. And I think Darnold getting the ball. I believe in J.J. McCarthy as well. If he somehow wins this job, as a smart team, I think generally should start the young guy, get him going on his contract as early as possible. But, to me, both those guys can do it, and I think Addison's a great pick. So agree to disagree. Brandon Powell is not untalented. Brandon Powell, to me, is like the quintessential showdown kind of play. If there's like a first week game, I don't know what this week 1 schedule is, but like if the Vikings were on Sunday Night Football and on a showdown game, I would play Brandon Powell on part of that lineup. Like, he's that kind of guy. He'll get you 4 for 40, maybe a touchdown. But that's such a big difference from Hawkinson having a shot to put 100 up in a game. And Hawkinson's not going to be there for likely half the year. At the very least, the first 4 weeks, but more likely half the year. So you really don't like the Penix pick then? The Penix pick to me is not one of my favorites now, but I think I'm not sure specifically what we're talking about. For him to be young and be playing from week 1. Yeah, I think that's not the best use of your draft capital. Ideally what you're doing when you take a QB early is you're giving yourself your team an ability to build the team around him. And then his money doesn't get big until, year 5 of that. So that's the smart thing that, smart teams do. Not every team is going to do that. So, like, the Patriots, I think, are live. It's funny because everybody thinks Drake May is going to start week 1. I think the Patriots are not going to start in week 1. I think they're the kind of team that would not do that. Belichick especially wouldn't do that. But I think now, with everything they've said so far, I think Brissett starts week 1. And May, you hope, gets out there. But their bye is not till, week 14. So, I don't know. I think you have a better shot seeing McCarthy start early just because the Vikings are smarter. But who knows? And Penix, again, you just want the guy out early. But I get, wanting to dedicate capital to the most important position in football. That's a thing. 1041 here. Can add the 5th receiver. Can get a Buffalo bet without the QB, which is kind of fun. Aaron Jones also would correlate here. I'm buying the Keon Coleman dip. I think I'm happy to get him here. Yeah, I think that's the pick. If I didn't have a tight end, I'd be tempted by Jake Ferguson. I feel like a Jalen Hurts, Jake Ferguson combo for week 17 is probably a little bit undersold in terms of exposure, but not the pick we'll make here. Got Richard at 71 on DK. That'll happen. Brissett is served. Yeah, Jacoby Brissett. A delicious addition to the New England Patriots. But yeah, Brissett, I think, is a quality player, like a good enough player that a team who thinks they can sneak into the playoffs is going to play. And then if they find out they're not going to make the playoffs, then I think you see May. But if that like my biggest fear for New England, and same thing for Minnesota too, with playing McCarthy. If these teams hover around 500, you stick with the vet. Like that's just the logical thing to do. So who knows if they'll do it? But that's my concern for both those guys, which I know I've vocalized a lot on here. But of course, we got some new people today, so happy to talk about the familiar talking points. Ferguson goes at 84. I do think, though, I should try to get a little more Hurts with Ferguson because that's a fun one. You get Hurts with CeeDee Lamb enough. You definitely get Hurts with Brandon Cooks as the Week 17 bring back. I imagine there's going to be a little bit less of Jake Ferguson floating around out there. As a Patriots fan, I agree he might not start the first 4 weeks, but with Kraft 60 or 80 plus years old and firing Belichick, patience is running thin. Running thin enough that, again, if Brissett is 500, that's what I think trumps everything. So I agree. Like, you want to see the young guy get out there. But that said, when you're running hot enough, I think people will stick in the way of inertia. All right, so Zamir White, James Conner, Jalen Warren, Zach Moss, nice pocket. Correlation-wise, nothing here that we need to have at this point. Got a lot more Conner than White. Jalen Warren has been a blind spot for me. I'll go Zamir White. As I said yesterday, I really don't think that photo of him looking huge was like a positive. I think he's just too large. He's getting the LaRon Landry treatment where he looks like he's got synthol arms. Not exactly where you want your RB who's not that shifty to be in the world. But that said, Zamir White, the good case for him is that Antonio Pierce used him well on the home stretch. Antonio Pierce does want to run the ball, wants to have the defense win games. I still think Zamir White risks to lose more red zone opportunity. Obviously, Adams, a big red zone target. Adding Brock Bowers in, who's also a great red zone target in college, can make that tougher for Zamir White to just get easy run plays for himself at volume. But that said, he's in an okay offense. Okay enough offense with a workload. We'll take him here. Zeus, there you go. Stroud went 78 in my draft with Nico and Diggs. Yeah, that'll happen. That's why you try to push Stroud if you can. Zamir been this big since the womb. He's gotten bigger, at least in that one photo. Like, he's had a very large arms and he's got, the broad shoulders and whatever. But he is, I think that photo is a lot. The photo is a lot. You can be too heavy at running back. We have seen that happen a few times. And especially when you have avoid a tackle rate of under 10%, like Zamir White does, I don't think you want to be, getting larger. Last year, Zamir White, 13.5% avoided tackle rate, so not under 10. Negative 0.14 EPA per rush, 0.04 EPA per pass. When he was out in the field, they gave him the ball 62% of the time he was playing a snap, which is pretty impressive. Definitely a willful feeding the ball of him. I've seen Zamir White high school photo. I know he's large, but again, I think he's still more large, at least based off that one photo that went viral. Better Google that than high school girls out. Yeah, I would say so. Unless, trying to find somebody to buy your Drake tickets. And you can Google that too. Patriots' first 6 games: Bengals, Seahawks, Jets, Niners, Texans, Dolphins. I don't think we're going to be anywhere near 500. They could beat the Seahawks, getting a new defense installed, new offense installed. Probably not beating the Niners. I'd agree with that. Probably not beating the Texans. I think them beating the Bengals is the kind of thing I could see happening. But I'm also low on the Bengals, as you guys may know. And, Jets. Talk about a 2017 game if you ever saw one. I feel like Jets-Patriots would be that. But we'll see. I also think the defense will be a little bit better for the Patriots with Mayo taking over. Just think they kind of hit their floor last year. Didn't have the bounce back the Patriots defenses usually have. My concern to be that if White struggles, could be a 50-40-10 share of White, Madison, Labe. That's a fair concern. Look, I think that Labe acquitting himself well in the pass game already, it's not the best sign for Zamir White. He is a guy that I think needs every touch possible to have the ability to contribute for you fantasy-wise. And Labe taking, 5 pass game downs away, 5 to 10 downs, maybe, 5 touches in the pass game away would be really bad for Zamir. But what can you do, You just hope he runs hot on touchdowns, I think, first and foremost. Jaden at 103 wasn't an option for me today, I think, with the team we've built, but just noting it. We got Brian Robinson. We got the Tennessee guys. Not the most exciting pocket in the world for me. Low on Dobbs. Low on Tyjae. Low on Javonte. I'm getting really high on Pollard, which I don't love, but I'll keep taking Pollard. If he's going to keep being here in the mid 100s, he's got a 100 ADP on him. I'm okay with Pollard. Pollard, to me, lost a lot of juice last year, or I think really exposed what he was. In the back half of the season before last, a lot of people missed it. He just kind of got worse down the home stretch, especially efficiency-wise. Not a back that's meant to have 15 to 20 touches, and especially in the red zone to have like 5 red zone carries a game. That's not him. But I think getting less work in Tennessee might be good. And the fact as well that he's got the big contract probably means he gets the first crack at red zone volume. So that's my hope for Tony Pollard. But I do think that I could see why he'd be falling. But he and Tyjae are close enough that Pollard at 105 feels fine. Patriots have one of the hardest schedules of recent history. Don't think that's talked about enough in the best ball streets. They'll be bad. If that's part of your reason for taking Drake May, sure. I just still think that the probability that Jacoby Brissett doesn't play, or excuse me, does play and doesn't get benched is not high enough. Like, I think they can hover around. You got to keep in mind, like, hovering around 500 could be 6-8, could be 6-9. Like, I think you can find your way to 6 wins in a lot of different scenarios, especially with the old Bill Simmons Ewing theory, who Belichick does not deserve the Ewing theory based on what it is of a guy not winning a championship. But the guy hasn't won a championship in a little bit, and the effectiveness on that team wore out, and they kind of, the team themselves started tuning him out, having a new voice in who's closer to their age. That could lead to enough of a dead cat bounce that team is like more competitive than it seems. I don't think it makes sense to take Chase Brown here, or to take Tyjae Spears here again, though I am okay with that double Tennessee bet. I don't know that I want to keep doing it. Chase Brown doesn't correlate with anything. Brandon Cooks, a Dallas bring back. I think we have to get an RB in, though. I'll take Chase Brown here. Might be a bad thing because our choices later on for a Dallas bring back are either, well, the RBs I'm okay with, but it would also then be Jalen Tolbert, who right now people think might be locked to the wide receiver 3 job. In reality, he's facing competition from Jalen Brooks, and I guess to a lesser extent, Ryan Flournoy. More so Jalen Brooks, it sounds like. So that's the downside. I'm not taking Brandon Cooks there, but I think I needed RB more at this point, with us starving RB until round 8. Spears will definitely be more for Pollard. Do you want me to take Spears? I took Spears and Pollard together last draft. I don't want to start doing it in every draft, but where their ADPs are right now, I think it's appealing. I think it's appealing to take both more than it should be. Let's see. RB's about to drop off a cliff. Yeah, that's the downside. I would have liked to have Cooks in this kind of build where we do have a good bet on Philly. But that said, yeah, I need RB more. I don't think it falls off the cliff. You're just more in speculative territory with guys like Ray Davis, Kamani Vidal, even my boy Bucky Irving. That's still a speculative play right now. Lloyd, the Lloyd area, a little bit less so. Zeke, I think a little bit less so. Can't believe Corum the other day. I was in a room where I really wanted some Rams correlation for my Arizona stack. And I was like, you know what? I'll get Corum back, and I'll even take him at like 110 or whatever. He went at 102. Like, Corum going at 119 here. A lot more palatable price for a guy who probably a 20% roll is what I'd expect. But obviously, more tremendous contingent value if Kyron goes down. If Kyron goes down, Blake Corum gets Kyron's workload last year, most likely. And that would be certainly league winning. But, contingent value is contingent value. Thoughts on the DraftKings September Survivor Special? I've got no clue what you're talking about. But if you want to explain more, I'm happy to give you thoughts. Bucky, shiftiness is legit. Top end speed is not. It doesn't really matter. Like, you getting into open space is dictated by you having lateral movement. Having top speed going straight, it matters if you're on a well-blocked team. But for what Tampa Bay was looking for, which is just somebody to miss tackles, and they called it out before they even drafted Bucky. Like, that's what you want, is a guy that can just create people missing in space and open opportunities for himself through that. So yeah, like teams that are like the Dolphins that have well-blocked teams, great schemes and all that, having just straight line speed matters more. But for having guys that are going to be in more crowded areas that don't have these world beaters on offense, being able to miss tackles is like the best thing you can do for your team. especially too with how many like, short throws they had last year. But it's my take on it. But the thing is, you do have 70-yard TD potential as long as you are avoiding tackles. Like if you avoid tackles, you're creating lanes for yourself that weren't there before. And as a result, there's nobody backing up those lanes. So that's the value. That's why avoided tackle rate matters a lot. It still doesn't mean you're going to have a great year, even efficiency-wise, where Jalen Warren was still as shifty as he was the year before last. But he was a lot more efficient the year before last because of the fact that the offense ran shittily this year. But a lot of his big plays were created through him avoiding 1-2 tackles up front. And then, obviously having enough speed to go. But I don't think Jalen Warren is exactly Chris Johnson either, First 4 weeks of the NFL season for 10K to first place. Sure, that's fun. Different formats, a fun thing. I still think if you're going to put time in, I know for me, if I put an entry in, I'm putting it in the DK Millie Maker just because that's the best EV. But different formats are good. Rewards the older guys for sure. 1-3-5-1 build here. I think Zeke can be our bring back for Dallas. No issue with that right now. So 4 RBs in. Again, when you do go receivers hot and heavy as we did, we do have to make it up a little bit. It's a 1-4-5-1 build. Jalen Hurts, Zamir White, Tony Pollard, Chase Brown, Ezekiel Elliott. We got A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, Stephon Diggs, Jordan Addison, and Keon Coleman. I think we got sniped on Dallas Goedert by somebody for whatever reason. Doesn't really affect me too much. Obviously, expect Dalton Kincaid to beat out Dallas Goedert 8 times out of 10 in a 1-week sample, especially. Gus Edwards has no top end speed either, had 13 TDs last year. I mean, a lot of that was not exactly breakaway runs, but he did have a few. But yeah, that's basically it. It said your ability to like overcome unexpected things in short range is like the best thing you do as an RB. Because like that's just the thing because there's no there's no backfill for it. Like that's the best way to say it. But that was one of my takeaways too from having dealt with Football Outsiders guys a little bit more. All right, so we have a 1-4-5-1 here. Do you think we can keep going RB? Do you think that we want to talk about the Achane and Mostert this year? It could be Zeke and Dowdle. I don't think that's crazy. Hard not to take Marshawn Lloyd always here, but I'll go Kendre. I have to get my Kendre exposure up. We have a bet on Zamir White. As I've talked about here, I have no issue taking 2 RBs from the same Week 17 game for 2 reasons. Number one, we just saw it hit last year with Breece Hall and Jerome Ford. Number 2 is that if both guys don't hit, there's a likelihood that one of them corners a market. So for Zamir White, for Kendre Miller, neither guy's the lead back or guaranteed to be the lead back in their backfield. But if they are, I now can probably corner, at least 1 touchdown in that game, maybe 2. Absolute scenes when Gus Edwards somehow scores more TDs than last year. It's possible. It's very plausible that the Chargers can be very successful in terms of scheming a lot of points on the board, but not be fun in fantasy. Like I think they can that's honestly what I expect for them, which is part of the issue with unpacking them as a team where I just don't see like any of the Chargers receivers necessarily hitting. I don't see anything at tight end hitting. I see Gus Edwards maybe hitting, Dobbins maybe hitting, Vidal maybe hitting. I don't know. But I would bet that out of all these teams that we talked about, that could be in a playoff hunt. Like I would bet the Chargers are in the playoff hunt. It's not going to be an exciting route to a playoff hunt, but I would guess they're another 21-18 win kind of team. Chargers have some maulers on that OL. Of course, we love talking O-line play here, but yeah. I think they dedicated resources to a position that you had to do that. If you want to play that style of football and all the resources go there, then that's what you take away from the team. That's some of that team roster stuff that I do think, sometimes people miss. Like there are people out there that still think Justin Herbert's going to throw 100 times in a game. And it's like, no, you don't invest in, you can't invest in O-line to make the pass game better. You don't invest in guys who are like run game dominant. You don't spend no money at receiver. Like you don't do those kind of things unless you are going to run the ball and run the hell out of the ball. And that's what they showed us through their team moves. And also, frankly, previous usage and all that as well. Greg Roman's not one of those guys either that I did the Mike McCarthy thing where he's like, oh, I learned about analytics and I learned the value of passing because they're like stumping for a job. He just was like, we're going to run the shit out of the ball. And then Harbaugh's like, yeah, our guys on offensive line are in fact our guys leading the way. Like our weapons, I believe he said what the offensive line were. Oh boy. Okay. I'll get panic text from the wife while on stream is never my favorite thing in the world. That's what I was trying to read while making my point. So my bad if my point didn't come off 100% of the way. Getting fucking questions about roofers coming to take a look today. All the important stuff is always on Splash Play. We're in the home stretch, though, guys. If you're watching live or if you watch after the fact, please subscribe down below. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. All your engagements go a long way for me here because I'm just a one-man shop trying to put on my work here on stream here every day, Monday to Saturday at 11 a.m., including tomorrow. I'll be hitting the world of drafters. More on that in a moment. All right, on the clock here, 1551. Still need to add at RB. Still need to add at receiver. This is always this pocket where I never get my wide receiver 6 early enough, which is one of the flaws in my game. I am going to make Bateman one of these picks for that reason. I'm not the highest on Bateman, but I think getting a little more, getting closer to 8% on Bateman's okay. We have him basically as a bring back for Houston, so that's going to be my logic for this pick. But really here, it's either RB or reach up for receiver, and that's all the options are. You're sorting by ADP. I guess I have to come up. Oh, I fucked up on Mario Douglas's rank, huh? How is that possible? I'll fix that. My bad if you have my ranks and you're not getting to Mario Douglas. I might be saving you from yourself for a guy who's in a very crowded slot role for New England. But Mario Douglas should not have a 299 ADP. I will admit to an error on that one. That'll be fixed for this weekend. All right, 1561 here. Come on. Taking the entire clock here, really killing my momentum. I feel like this draft has been fucking dragging ass after that first draft, which is sometimes how it goes. I think we always point out that's usually how it goes. I think he timed out on Kirk Cousins for himself. Great job. Savvy stuff. You know, we've got the bet on Minnesota, and with Dalton Kincaid's price tag, this is the kind of team that can absorb TJ Hawkinson. So let's do that. The shitty part is that of all my Marshawn Lloyd teams, this is one where Marshawn Lloyd would have made sense because we do have the bet with Addison and with Hawkinson. No Green Bay bring back right now, but I think we can survive with just Kincaid and Hawkinson. Maybe put a third tight end on top, but I'll figure that out later. Team so far, 1562. We have Jalen Hurts, Zamir White, Tony Pollard, Chase Brown, Ezekiel Elliott, Kendre Miller. A wide receiver, we've got A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, Stephon Diggs, Jordan Addison, Keon Coleman, Rashad Bateman. The tight end, Dalton Kincaid, and my first share of TJ Hawkinson on the year. But coming 10 picks after ADP, a little bit more than that, with a little bit of a bet on Minnesota already, an anti-Justin Jefferson bet that we can carry into week 17. Obviously, I love Jefferson, but just the leverage alone. If Jefferson goes off, wouldn't mind carrying this into the playoffs. Kincaid plus Hawk plus Jonnu. There we go. The spankings will be perfected. They have a flaw. Yeah, how dare you? Are you implying there's multiple flaws? But no, I'm very diligent about this stuff, so I'm confused. It might be something where they changed his name from DeMario to Pop or Pop to DeMar. I don't know why I would possibly have him at 299. That is it doesn't make sense to me, but I'll figure it out. Anyway, drafters, tomorrow, doubleheader on drafters coming up. So if you want to draft with me, full point PPR on there, 17 weeks, no playoff pods. Check it out. Again, last year, the biggest cosign I can give is that I put in 9 entries here, about all of which were on stream. Still finished top 110 in a tournament that has a lot of people in there. This year, it's $15, $500K to first place. And again, the no pods part of it, if you get frustrated by that on Underdog, play on drafters. They care about their people. I will give them that. And tomorrow as well, going to give away 4 tickets to the Drafters Million. So create your account, deposit now, and maybe you'll get one of those 4 tickets coming up tomorrow on Drafters. And of course, you can see my exposures and stuff on the screen. Week 16, Week 17 matchups, including which ones are in Dome and the game totals. So check that out at bestballoverlay.com. Get $10 off your first month with promo code SPLASH, all caps, SPLASH on bestballoverlay.com. So check that out at bestballoverlay.com. Go support that. I get a little affiliate fee. The pound gets to build a business. Win-win for everybody, hopefully. I'm going to show my exposures at the end of this video as well. Stay tuned. That'll be our capper on top. Fast Puppy is live. 20-second clocks. Not fast enough. 10 to 15 seconds. Low stakes should be quick clocks. I think it's tough because there are low stakes people that I'm sure hate quick clocks as well. Splash pound goes hand in hand. That's just how you make squirt. Oh God. Thank you. Thank God you're here, Tyler. Glad your brain is functioning well enough to give me gems like that. Tyler working himself hard, but he nevertheless, those flow through him. I think the worst part for me for drafts is when it starts to slow down towards the end, when I'm like ready to ready to be like done. But then sometimes it does do that to you, and you're just like, or I'm just like, motherfucker. We're gonna go Marvin Mims here. 17% Marvin Mims for me. Big part of my early Bo Nix bets is what I would guess. High stakes tourneys are not my known thing that much. My bankroll just goes to BBM, especially this year. That said, Dalmatian, probably another Dalmatian, I'd guess. I'm sure Mastiff, those are the ones that tend to be a little more popular in the summer, but I honestly can't tell you. They've been doing a lot of variety, if nothing else, so I'd expect you to continue to see that. Maybe a fast clock, higher dollar tournament. Though I don't know if people would gravitate towards that. Some would. But a lot of the people who play high stakes do want to squeeze that clock pretty hard. All right, 1572. Still need QB2. Maybe QB3. Maybe not. Come on. 3471 for this guy. You probably need a tight end. You probably need an RB. You don't need to think about it this much. You don't need to think about it this much. Come on. LD in this MF. Long draft clock in this MF. God damn it. Cade Otton. All that anticipation. Bet you guys were sitting breathlessly waiting to see who he's going to pick, and it's Cade Otton. Whoop-de-doo. All right, another Derek Carr team. Derek Carr going to end up one of my highest exposed QBs as long as I get an Olave sometimes. 2572 build here. We've got Jalen Hurts, Derek Carr, Zamir White, again, part of that New Orleans bet. Tony Pollard, Chase Brown, Ezekiel Elliott, Kendre Miller, part of the New Orleans bet. A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, Stephon Diggs, Jordan Addison, Keon Coleman, Rashad Bateman, Marvin Mims, Dalton Kincaid, and T.J. Hawkinson. So live for a third tight end, don't need it. Live for a third QB, don't necessarily need it. That's the build we have going so far. At 20% Carr, look, I think ultimately if you're making bets on his receivers, getting a QB who is a starter, who is going to have Taysom Hill taking less QB snaps off him this year, at least based off the signal we have from minicamp and from OTAs. There were no dropbacks at QB for Taysom Hill during that period. If you get that, and that was also what they showed at the end of last year. So if you get that, like Carr is way too cheap, really. And if you take Malik Neighbors, like Daniel Jones is too cheap. I think that's my biggest flaw. And what's so interesting about the late QBs and the build built around them is like you have guys who might start, even Russ, like might end up starting the entire year. And you can get certified potential starters or guys at least are, 50-50, maybe 60-40 to be starting the entire year. In Carr's case, 80-20, I think, to start the entire year, if not higher. Like with the contract on him, the fact that Spencer Rattler is not that good and Jake Haener is maybe a little bit better, but also not that good. So like Carr, to me, just getting a starter when you already have a bet on New Orleans is logical. If you make a bet on Olave in round 2, your bet is on Derek Carr, whether you want to realize it or not. If you make a bet on Malik Neighbors, your bet's on Daniel Jones, whether you realize it or not. Big Taysom tight end again, like he should be. I mean, this was the year that he should be tight end. You can make the case he honestly should be like an RB. You can make the case if based on the usage they had for minicamp, because he was playing out of the slot, he's playing out of the backfield, he's playing out of tight end. You could make the case that he should be like all of those things, or at least he should be like, I guess that'd be a wide receiver, because that's more like a Debo role where you move around that much. So I don't know, but this was not the year to make him QB, from what it sounds like. All right, 2 picks coming up here. Braylon Allen or Estime. Braylon Allen's a little more secure right now based off the news items we have, so he deserves a higher ADP, but I prefer the upside of Estime. I think Braylon Allen fundamentally is contingent value, whereas Estime is like possibly standalone value, possibly the lead out of that backfield. Braylon Allen is only going to be the lead out of that backfield if Breece Hall dies, metaphorically or literally, I suppose. but mostly metaphorically. Taysom should just be a wild card. He should be the flex wild card. You draft him, you can play any position that you need somebody. Deservedly so. All right, we've got the 2-5-7-2 here. Could take a 6th RB. Don't desperately need a 6th RB. What's good luck going to do besides use the entire clock? Just want to get to my exposures. This has been a 50-minute draft. All right. 2-5-7-2. I mean, Roshan here. Could add Tolbert, wide receiver 8. I'll get a share of Roshan just because he has been a blind spot for me. I don't know that I need to get with the field on Roshan, but 3% feels a little bit low for how often I'm taking Tank Bigsby. So take Roshan for RB6 here. No correlation, but don't think we need the 3rd QB. Could take Bo Nix still, but don't think we need it. I don't think we need the 3rd tight end either, but we'll see what we get back. Carr is a free starting QB, basically. That's it. I agree. Carr's like, estimated me. He's the last guy at the position I feel fine with, so I end up with a fair amount. I think that's also a fair way to look at it. Obviously, different upside, more guarantee of production for Carr. But yeah, in terms of them being the last of a dying breed kind of plays, yeah. We have the Minnesota bet. Could take McCarthy. We have the bet on Marvin Mims, the Chase Brown bring back. Could take him. I think Juwan Johnson works for this build, though. So add the 3rd tight end on, more correlation with Carr to give him a full pass game stack. And then, obviously, Juwan Johnson, expect him to play week 1. So that's it. His final team here is going to be a 2-6-7-3. We have Jalen Hurts and Derek Carr as our QBs. Zamir White, Tony Pollard, Chase Brown, Ezekiel Elliott, Kendre Miller, and Roshan Johnson at RB. Wide receiver, A.J. Brown, of course, correlated with Jalen Hurts. Chris Olave, correlated with Derek Carr. Stephon Diggs, Jordan Addison, Keon Coleman, Rashad Bateman, and Marvin Mims. Then a tight end, Dalton Kincaid, the injured C.J. Hawkinson, but got him at enough of a discount. That's where I'll take him. And Juwan Johnson as well to round us out at tight end. So happy with this team. I think another good one here. Do you think the Best Ball Overlay tool, of course, bestballoverlay.com, promo code SPLASH on there for $10 off. Do you think that it adds a little bit of value here? We could see Jalen Tolbert was correlated for us. If we didn't know that, Dylan Labe, if we wanted to increase our Vegas New Orleans bet. Bo Melton here highlighted the fact that they play Green Bay. New Orleans does in week 16. So there's some of the useful things here. And let's look at my exposures. Actually, I guess let's just do the exposures on Underdog today. But I'll show you the Best Ball Overlay tool as well. It just won't be updated fully. So let me go switch to this tab. Trying to make sure I get my recent drafts in if I can, besides this one that we just finished. All right, we got one more team in. I'm not sure if this is all my BBM teams. All right, share this tab. Exposures, here we go. My exposures so far. So Marshawn Lloyd, I believe including the first draft, but not the second draft. I have 43% Marshawn Lloyd right now. The bet, again, makes sense to me. The signal has been good. Nothing that's backing me down off of it. Those are the main things I would say. Jaden Daniels, obviously my bet here continues to be strong. Would prefer to have him closer to 25 to 33%. So some discipline today, not taking him, not even considering him. That said, I'm still at 39%, which is a lot. Granted, I still have more than half my drafts left with this count that we have. Terry McLaurin and Ben Sinnott, both equally drafted. Brian Robinson. My bets are pretty even. And I'll show you guys a little bit more on that on the Best Ball Overlay data tools that they have. But Brian Robinson, McLaurin, Sinnott. Would like Sinnott to come down the most, but overall, these guys to me should be 25%-ish bets. Maybe can get to 33, but prefer 25 if I can get it. Luke McCaffrey, also here. So again, my bet's Washington, my bet's Marshawn Lloyd in terms of the overall, and some more guys will find per position. Jaden Daniels at 39, we just saw. Will Levis, I'm double the field on. High pass rate, goes for free. This is not a perfect comp, but it's how I view it. Last year, I took a lot of CJ Stroud because he was the last guy I saw as being like, he's a viable player. I think he's going to be good. I can get some stack partners with him, so I'll take him. Will Levis to me feels like this year's CJ Stroud, where he's just cheap enough to be in a lot of bailout stacks. Does not mean he's as talented, does not mean he's going to create production the same way, but I think there's enough good signal for him and his usage last year. Just a deep ball thrower who needs to be saved from himself for everything besides that. I think Brian Callahan can do that for him, and he's cheap enough that that's it. Bo Nix has come down for me, but I'm still at 15% of him. Derek Carr, again, late bailout QB. Tied here with Kyler Murray and AR, which surprises me here. Would like to get more AR. Happy to get more Kyler. These guys could both be 16% plays to me. But obviously, it's relative to ADP sensitivity. That's why I'm getting these guys more. And then Cousins, Bryce Young, Daniel Jones on the outside. Still above on Caleb, Stroud. Hopefully that'll hold. Hurts, I'll be over after that last draft. RB, we saw Marshawn Lloyd. We got Brian Robinson Jr., David Montgomery. Not surprising here to see these guys. Pretty big cliff drop, though. I am under 25% for everybody besides Marshawn Lloyd and Brian Robinson. As you guys know, these are my biggest bets, so happy with my exposures bearing that out. Jerome Ford, same thing. Bucky Irving here, have come down on him a little bit, / just not getting him as much. But he and Chase Brown right ahead of Audric Estime. Feels about right to me. And James Conner, probably my favorite 0 RB play. Ramondre I've gotten a lot more of recently, and I don't know that I feel worlds better about him. But I do think the new contract, that's really the main thing. I think his price tag works. If he comes up to the 70s, I'll be there less. Basically how I feel about that. Wide receivers here. We got, oh, there you go. Still made it live. Yeah, the last draft took a while. So you get a little bonus. Wide receiver, we got Terry McLaurin at 33%. Luke McCaffrey as the free Washington Commander is part of the thing keeping him up. That said, prefer to get him down a little bit. Troy Franklin, 22%. He's been coming down for me. What happens in July and August with him, where he's running, is he running with the first team? It's going to dictate my Troy Franklin exposure moving forward. Keenan Allen, he's often my wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 in 0 RB and hero RB builds. So that's why. Dotson I've come up on a lot. And Nico Collins, my favorite Texan by overall exposure, even though I think Diggs is fine. Would like to have about 16% or more of Nico, Diggs, and Tank Dell, I believe, because that's how strongly I believe in the Houston bet. Those are my exposures there. And Tez Walker, too, late Houston bring back. Probably a little bit too high on him right now, exposure-wise. Prefer to get that to 8 to 12, I feel like. Tight end, still a lot of Ben Sinnott. I do think my Ben Sinnott exposure is high just for the risk that I'm wrong about him. And a lot of other people are right about him being a blocker more so. That said, he's the second best target earner in this rookie tight end class. I believe in him. I believe in him since January. I'll keep taking him. We're strategic, but I don't want to force him in quite as much. Want to get him down. Dalton Schultz down to 22%. Trey McBride just under 20. Jonnu Smith at 13. Brock Bowers at 13. So I think I'd like to get Bowers up a little bit higher. But I'm happy with these exposures. I think McBride at 16, maybe upping Kincaid a little bit more to get him there. Bowers at 16 would feel good. Young tight ends for me are the move. Laporta too, if I could get him at 12 to 16, especially if that ADP comes down a little bit, that would feel pretty good to me. Shout out to Robert of the Turd. Appreciate that. Super chat here. Of course, one of my favorites. Thank you for being a good supporter, a good friend. I always hear of the channel and of me personally. But I appreciate all you guys watching live. It's been a longer draft here. The second one took it out of me. But appreciate you guys being here. Of course, go check out Best Ball Overlay. Support that. Use promo code SPLASH there. All caps, it seems, to get $10 off your first month. So it's a cool new product. You'll see it here on screen with me for the rest of this offseason drafting. So go check them out, bestballoverlay.com. Of course, Underdog as well. Promo code SPLASH on there. $250 in bonus cash. And tomorrow's Drafters Day, Saturday here with Drafters. So go ahead and grab promo code SPLASH on there. $100 deposit match, and that's a straight match as well. Get 17 weeks in the Drafters Million, $15 the first place. Not $15 the first place. $15 entry fee. If you're getting $15 the first place, I would say don't play that tournament. You're getting $500K to first place on Drafters. So check it out. Promo code SPLASH. You can draft along with me tomorrow on stream at 11 a.m. A doubleheader coming, in which I'll be giving away 4 free tickets to the Drafters Million tomorrow. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. Oh, God. I have to drink water for the reading of names, guys. Hold on. But these are all the fine folks with the join button and our members as of right now. You too can support the channel here, and I'm going to read all their goddamn names out loud. Okay. All right. My mouth is wet. I'm ready. I'm going to hot to a spin on that thing. We got Robert Griffin the third, Historical Anomalies, Matthew Emerson, Tyler, CLN, Mathology, Rupesh, Willis, Ivan, Port, Tony Mark, a.k.a. Io, Brandon Wagner, Consigliere, Aaron D, Nez, Jake Twitchell, fucking Alpha, Mr. I am the KY, Sammy Telestra, okay, Buffalo Warpigs, Kevin Castro, Lateralis, Lunchable Connoisseur, Short Gamer, Carlos Manso, Chunk, Gabe Davis, Bindles, great Bindles, shout out to our guy, Thomas Schultz, Laces Out, Spurious News, Nolan, Jeff F, Craig B, Hoosier Devo, Jason Neff, Michael Thomas, Jaden, M for Life J, Kyler, Wounded Geese, Steel City Blue, Jeff T, W for Omega, C40, Artillery Frost, Benny, D Owens, Meatwad, Kyle Zoo, Feelin' Moosey, aka Bombadil, Nick Stevens, OG1 Kenobi, Mr. Poopy Buttholes, check him out soon, and VTubing on YouTube, Dylan Holzer, T-Wiss, Justin Dupengeiser, Jesus, Adam, Dylan, Joe the Show, Rough Butt Fire, Broncos, Touch of Green, Best Ball Brian, Bob Hale, M. Ryan Dolan, STL Bree, Independent Thinker, Paul B, JPK Tampa, Fantasy Football Garage, James Young, Duke Dean, Adam Rockoff, New Adam, Best Adam, Big Sunny, Anthony Revla, Playmaker, Al Boogie, Tanner Borid, Legalize at 420. Nice. Nick, you can never cancel Legalize at 420. Nick Constantino, Troy Osborne, On Real Time, Zone Chuba, Andrew, Vishase, One, Big Daddy, T. Peter, Alex Pearl, Terrence, Curtis Broom, Chris Pointer, all of you guys who supported the show this week, and I thank you for it. You too can get my team rank, my Spags rankings, over 275 players blurbed on there, re-ranked every week. Sometimes Mario Douglas ends up at 299. But we'll fix it. I'll fix it as soon as possible. But go ahead, get those down below. Of course, the VIP Discord and 10 team reviews a month for you, which are thorough and personalized about stuff you're doing. It's not about like my player takes and shit. So go check that out as part of the hitting the join button down below for $4.99 a month. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splashplay Pod. Come back tomorrow for a little post-coital doubleheader on drafters. I'll see you guys then. Thanks for hanging out. Of course, gamble responsibly in the meantime. And again, go do Best Ball Overlay as well. Promo code SPLASH on there, $10 off. Back tomorrow with more, guys. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Bye-bye.